From Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Below is the submission on persecution of Christians, Jews and Biafrans that drove the Nigerian presidency mad. Tell me if anything contained in it is a lie. Read on and judge for yourselves. Briefing for U.S. State Department. Nigeria, a history of Syria genocide and the urgent need for U.S. intervention. Being a presentation by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, to the U.S. State Department in June 2019. Abstract. The purpose of this submission is to formally bring to the attention of the government of the United States the violent Islamization that is taking hold in Nigeria against Christians and Jews, especially of Biafran extraction. As shall be demonstrated, this Islamization is by both state and by non-state actors that enjoy the patronage and tacit support of the state. It is such that may lead to another genocide that will offend the conscience of nations, including particularly the United States, which possesses the singular capacity to intervene with lasting solutions. 1. Background history. Nigeria is an oil-rich country and a regional power in West Africa. It is a multi-ethnic and multilingual country with a population of about 180 million people. There are three major ethnic groups: the Igbo, also known as Igbo, the Yoruba, and the Hausa Fulani, and 250 other smaller ethnic groups. The Hausa Fulani are predominantly Muslims, and live in the northern Sahelian part of Nigeria. The Yoruba, who live in the southwest, are split almost evenly between Muslims and Christians. Yoruba Muslims profess a moderate form of Islam, as opposed to the more fundamentalist Sunni practice observed in northern Nigeria, and from which the Boko Haram and Fulani headsmen Islamic terrorists emanated. There is a small Shia minority amongst the majority Sunni Muslims that are ruling Nigeria. The Biafrans, the centerpiece of this submission, inhabit the southeastern part of Nigeria with a population of over 70 million. About 50 million of them, the Igbos, speak the Igbo language and are predominantly Christians, but with a rapidly growing Jewish minority. Their land is blessed with human and mineral resources including hydrocarbons. Biafrans are very commercially inclined, industrious, and are given to scholarly and professional pursuits. They had an established democratic institution even before colonization by the British. They are very republican and egalitarian in nature, and coexisted peacefully with their neighbors prior to colonization and their amalgamation with the rest of Nigeria in 1914. In 1966, soon after the world commemorated the 21st anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz and made the customary solemn declaration of "Never, never again," Nigeria defiled that season of reflection, commiseration and hope. Its military officers, the police, Hausa Fulani amirs, Muslim clerics and intellectuals, civil servants, journalists, politicians and other public figures planned and executed the Biafran, aka Igbo, genocide, the foundational genocide of post-European conquest Africa. This is also Africa's most devastating genocide of the 20th century. A total of 3.1 million Igbo people were murdered between May 29, 1966 and January 12, 1970. And had Biafra not unilaterally declared its independence in order to protect itself, the massacre would have been incalculable. Most Biafrans, especially the Igbos, were slaughtered in their homes, offices, businesses, schools, colleges, hospitals, markets, churches, shrines, farmlands, factories/industrial enterprises, children's playground, town halls, refugee centers, cars, lorries, and at bus stations, railway stations, airports, etc. In the end, the genocide was enforced by Nigeria's simultaneously pursued land, area and naval blockade and bombardment of Biafraland, Africa's highest population density region outside the Nile Delta. In other words, even in their own heartland where they had taken refuge, they were pursued and eventually subdued. The excuse then, as it were, was that Nigeria was prosecuting a war of reunification. On the contrary, there is quantum evidence that the war was provoked in order to accomplish the genocide that had begun against Biafrans, generally, and Igbos, particularly. The difference this time was to take it to their homeland where they had fled and taken refuge under the defunct Republic of Biafra. The following excerpt from recently declassified U.S. Embassy diplomatic dispatches of the era on the pogroms and the war that followed states that the North was minded to use the war as a tool to reassert its dominance of national affairs. Malam Kagu Damboa, regional editor of the Morning Post, told the American consul in Kaduna, "No one should kid himself that this is a fight between the East and the rest of Nigeria. It is a fight between the North and the Igbo." He added that the rebels would be flushed out of Enugu within 6 weeks. Lieutenant Colonel